Cheap rural land is out there. You just have to know where to look and what to look for once you find it. Hey, welcome back to the Land Buyer's Guide. I'm Scott Thomas, owner of landparker.com, where we specialize in discounted rural vacant land with owner financing that actually works for regular people. We're talking payments as low as $100 down and $100 a month. So yeah, we're pretty passionate about helping folks get onto land without breaking the bank. Today we're talking about how to find affordable rural land without ending up with a property that causes you more headaches than it's worth. Because here's the thing, cheap land exists. Good. Cheap land also exists. But you've got to know the difference, and that's what we're digging into today. So let's start with something that trips people up right away. Rural land prices seem random. Like, you'll find a 5-acre parcel in one county listed for $40,000 and a nearly identical piece of land 2 counties over going for 12. And you're sitting there thinking, what am I missing? Usually it's not that complicated. Location plays a big role. Land near a town, near paved roads, near things people want, that costs more. Land that's farther out, harder to get to, or in an area fewer people have discovered yet, that's where the deals tend to live. Road access is a big one too. If a parcel sits right on a paved county road, that's priced into the listing. If it requires an easement or a dirt path to reach, the price usually reflects that. Water matters a lot as well. A property with a well already drilled, or a creek running through it, or access to rural water, that's worth more. And zoning plays into it too. Agricultural land or unzoned rural land tends to be more affordable than land that's been designated for residential development. None of this is mysterious once you know what you're looking at. Now, where do people actually find the good deals? Most folks start with Zillow or Realtor.com, and honestly, those aren't bad starting points, but they're not where the best rural land deals usually show up. If you're serious about finding affordable land, there are better places to spend your time. Land-specific platforms like LandWatch, Land and Farm, and Lands of America focus entirely on rural and agricultural properties. The search filters are way more useful for land buyers. You can sort by acreage, access, and price in ways that general real estate sites just don't offer. County tax assessor websites are underused and really valuable. A lot of counties post their property records publicly online. You can look for parcels with delinquent taxes or find owners who've held a piece of land for 20 or 30 years and maybe never did much with it. Those situations often mean a seller who's flexible on price. County tax sales are another angle. When property taxes go unpaid long enough, counties will auction off the land. These sales can produce real deals. The catch is you do want to do your research before you bid, because you're often buying without a lot of information about the property up front. Here's one people always underestimate, just driving around. I know it sounds old school, but driving through rural areas and keeping an eye out for sale by owner signs still works. Owners selling on their own don't have an agent commission eating into the deal, which sometimes means they're priced more reasonably and open to negotiating. And then there's direct mail. Some buyers will research land in an area they're interested in, get the owner's mailing address from tax records, and send a simple letter expressing interest. It takes time, but off-market deals found this way can be some of the best ones out there because you're the only one at the table. All right, so you found some options. How do you stretch your budget further and still end up with something useful? One thing that makes a real difference. Look at states and counties that are under the radar. Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, parts of the Southwest. These areas often have rural land priced well below what you'd see in more popular regions. And even within a state, skipping the trendy counties in favor of quieter, less talked about areas can mean a lot more land for your money. Raw, unimproved land is almost always cheaper upfront than land with a well, septic, and utilities already in place. If you're planning to go off-grid anyway, or build your own setup, that might actually work in your favor. You get to install things the way you want them. Seller financing is worth mentioning here because it genuinely changes the math for a lot of buyers. when a landowner is willing to carry the financing themselves. You skip the bank, you skip a lot of the closing costs, and you sometimes get a more flexible deal overall in exchange for consistent monthly payments. And that's actually how we do things at Land Parker. We carry the financing ourselves, so there's no bank involvement and no credit check required. Timing can matter too. Rural land markets slow down in fall and winter. Sellers who need to move a property during those months are often a little more open to negotiation than they'd be in the spring when buyer interest picks up. One thing to just be aware of: oddly shaped parcels or landlocked properties. These show up cheap for a reason. Sometimes the reason is totally workable, like a parcel that's technically landlocked but has a legally recorded easement giving you clear road access. That can be a solid deal. But if the access situation is murky or disputed, that's worth sorting out before you buy, not after. Okay, so you found a piece of land you like and the price looks right. Before you move forward, here's what deserves a careful look. Access first. How are you legally getting to this property? A recorded easement in the deed is very different from an informal arrangement with a neighboring landowner. You want to know exactly what you have before you close. Water next. Is there a well? Is it connected to a rural water district? Is there a creek or pond on the property? If there's no water source at all right now, it's worth asking around locally about what it costs to drill a well in that area. It varies a lot depending on where you are and what the geology looks like underground. Zoning and land use rules are worth a phone call to the county. Most people assume rural land is totally open for whatever they want, and often it is, but some areas have restrictions that might matter to you. Things like placing a manufactured home, keeping livestock, or running a small business from the property. Just worth confirming before you're committed. FEMA flood maps are free to check online. If part of a parcel sits in a flood zone, that's not automatically a deal breaker, but it's something you want to know. And if you're thinking about growing food, the USDA Web Soil Survey tool gives you a solid read on soil quality without having to hire anyone. And title, getting a title search done through a local title company is just good practice. It'll show you any outstanding liens, back taxes, or ownership disputes connected to that parcel. It's a relatively small cost that can save you from a really big problem down the road. Here's the thing that I think is the most important framing for all of this. When you're comparing land options, don't just look at the price per acre. Ask yourself what it's actually going to cost you to use the land the way you want to use it. A parcel that's $1,000 an acre, cheaper than a comparable property, might require $15,000 in road improvements just to reach it. So the cheap land ends up not being cheap at all once you factor that in. At the same time, don't let the search for a perfect piece of land become the reason you never buy anything. Land that hits 80% of what you're looking for at a price that fits your budget is usually a smarter move than holding out indefinitely for a parcel that checks every single box. Perfect is the enemy of a really good deal. The bottom line is this: affordable rural land with real potential is out there. Land you could homestead on, farm, go off grid, or just hold for the long term. It takes a little patience and it takes knowing what you're looking at. But people find these deals all the time, and there's no reason you can't be one of them. Thanks for spending some time with me today. If you want to see what we've got available right now, or just learn more about how the owner financing side of things works, head over to landparker.com. We've always got properties listed at prices most people don't expect to see, and the financing is set up to be genuinely accessible. No bank, no credit check, just land you can start paying for today. We'll see you next time.